like you have elements of control in your life, right? And then when it comes to fertility, you kind of don't. It's kind of up to what your body is telling you can and can't do. So you've achieved all these great successes, found the right partner, secured the great career. You have everything that you need in life, which puts you in a position to be an amazing parent. But then you can't be a parent if your fertility is not there. So it does kind of feel like you're out of control. So I fell pregnant with my first easily. He was a beautiful surprise. But then when I had him, my OB came into my room when I was in the hospital and said to me that if I had any intentions of having any more children, that I should seek fertility guidance because there's a lot of stuff going on in there, and he was surprised that I was actually able to conceive. And I'd had a few miscarriages before my first child, but I wasn't trying for a child, if that makes sense. And then when we were decided we want another child, I was like, oh, back in my mind, yeah, that doctor said I should go and speak to somebody. So I did some research and tried to find a really good fertility doctor, and then found iPhone 10. And turns out there was a lot going on in there. And so we went through a lot of processes and medical diagnosis and trying to understand what was going on and to prevent me from having any sort of problems if I did want to move forward. And then we had a bunch of surgeries, cleaned me up, I think is probably the only way I can really, because I'm not a medical doctor. And we were able to conceive. So
So having gone through all of that and now being in pregnancy number 2, if you could go back to day 1 and give yourself a piece of advice, what do you think would be the most important thing to say?
I mean, let's go all the way back. I think the biggest piece of advice I'd ever give is like as a woman, and I'm a career woman as well, so I've focused on my career for a lot of my life, and I've made sure that I've tried to make the right decisions on my relationship status is understand your fertility before it's too late. So even before I've had Miller, like my first child, even before this pregnancy, I kind of wish that in my mid-20s or late 20s, I had gone and had those conversations with a fertility doctor to discuss my security plan, I guess is probably the best way to put it. And what that would mean is like freezing eggs, understanding where my fertility is at, even though I'm not trying, so that if I did get to the point where I'm at now, when I was actively trying to have a child and it was something that I really wanted, I wasn't having to go through the medical dilemmas I had a backup plan. And that backup plan was my decision and my security blanket and something that I had decided. Also finding the right doctor. Like I've had a lot of friends who have gone through fertility journeys and I've heard their experiences and what they've gone through, and I'm quite lucky and it's been very fortuitous that I found a doctor who was about me and understanding like my issues. It wasn't just about like, let's just try to get you pregnant. Let's try to understand like what could be the preventative for getting you pregnant or what could be the medical reason before we even went down the path of me spending the money to go down the IVF journey. I was able to like understand what I could have done and what she could have done and the treatments I could have had made before we decided to extract eggs and do an implantation. So I felt like when we did extract eggs and when we did implant, my body was in the best possible place to do it. So I didn't have to go through the hurdles or emotional dilemma because we'd already done that with the diagnosis and the understanding of my medical concerns to get me there.
It sounded like there was, though, a bit of investigation that had to go in and a few bits and bobs that had to be sorted. What was that like for you?
Yeah, I think like the journey was interesting because I didn't know I had any medical concerns. It wasn't until I had my first child that it came to my attention that I'd had any medical issues. And so that was like obviously the initial shock. But then obviously finding out I had medical issues but no one telling me what those medical issues were was also a bit of an interesting thing. So when I found Dr. Ifern and we started going through the process of trying to uncover what these were, I was completely aware of the risks and also what we could do in order to give me the best possible chance. And I felt supported the whole way through.
So it is really important for women, for people going through this journey, to just be selective with who they work with. Right?
Absolutely. It's a tough journey. Like it's not an easy process. And it's like the whole way through, why am I getting emotional? I think 'cause I'm hormonal. Like the whole journey, it's not like, okay, so society puts pressure on women to do it and have it all, you know. Like we're supposed to be able to produce children, but have a career and have a life and be like this whole person. And if you spend your whole life focusing on your career or focusing on being a good partner or focusing on being a good friend, then you get to a point in your life where the fertility journey kind of gets put to the side. So you can't be that whole woman if you've left it too late or haven't preventatively supported yourself in the process to know whether or not you can even have a child. And I was like so lucky. Like I have a child inside of me. I already had a child before this experience. But if I was to go through this journey and not have positive outcome and not be pregnant or not have a child, like it would just be such a harder experience. And it was already a hard experience. Why would I want it to be harder? I guess, you know, you have elements of control in your life, right? And then when it comes to fertility, you kind of don't. It's kind of up to what your body is telling you can and can't do. And I find like just for myself, like I'm 38 years of age. So you've achieved all these great successes, found the right partner, secured the great career. You have everything that you need in life, which puts you in a position to be an amazing parent. But then you can't be a parent if your fertility is not there. So it does kind of feel like you're out of control of a life that you've controlled your whole life. So it does feel a bit unfair. But I guess with experiences like this, you do get the opportunity to actually get that control back.